This is Jordan from FTJB with my evaluation questions. Question 1. In what way does your media product use, develop or challenge forms and conventions of real media products? Our product uses current forms and conventions of real media products in the way that we drew ideas from other thriller films in existence. These films acted as our inspirations when we created our own product, and we imitated certain aspects from these products. Zodiac, Seven, Shutter Island and Sherlock were our biggest inspirations, and we decided to reflect upon these aspects and design our costumes, props and setting, and we chose to convey power through these costumes and props like a typical thriller film would, with an armed criminal struggling for power with his gun, male protagonists, the detectives, and upbeat, exciting music in times of tension, action and drama. Usually, thriller films such as those inspired us star older adults of about 30 and 40 years old, but we decided that if we wanted to appeal to our target audience properly, we should incorporate younger adults in our film to make it more modern and relatable to the audience. This develops on the usual conventions of a thriller film because it allows a faster-paced film with the elements of youth culture that allow a better insight into modern life to appeal to a younger audience. Our product does not overly challenge the forms and conventions of typical thriller films, as we decided that if we were to imitate conventions of successful thriller films, adapting them to our storyline, we'll be able to create a product that, if released, would most likely attract a similar audience to our inspirations. We did, however, change the order of how the story unfolds, starting in a basic calm setting with no music. That would have been boring if it did not entice viewers into watching to find out what was to come of the story. By starting the film like this, we offered an alternative to the usual thriller film that starts at the very beginning of the action and drama. Question 2. How does your media product represent particular social groups? Our media product represents only two types of people in it: detectives and drug-abusing criminals. Costume and props is the main element we have used to convey their social differences. Our detectives are typical representations of the generic detective, wearing clean formal wear, which are white shirts, ties, trousers, blazers, dress shoes and overcoats. We collected this idea from the films and the one television show that use almost identical costumes. The films we were inspired by were Zodiac, Seven and Shutter Island, and the TV show was Sherlock. Every detective in these inspirations dressed smartly to convey their power and status and to enforce their dominance, so we imitated the idea to give the audience the impression that our detectives were morally above our criminal. On the other hand, our criminal was dressed in an all-grey tracksuit with a hood concealing his head. We did this to emphasise to the audience that our criminal could be a member of the underclass. We took this idea so that it would come across as a drug-abusing lowlife. The gun held and utilised by our criminal represents the power struggle between the two social groups in the way that the detectives appear confident and cognitively prepared just in their body language and attire, whereas the criminal lurks behind a fence instead of appearing out in the open, and needs a hood to conceal his identity and to attempt to appear to be more threatening. The gun is the only sole element of power that the criminal possesses, but without it he would have no power whatsoever. To make our product more representative, we could have added different social groups to our film, such as members of an ethnic minority, an elderly person, a female or an incredibly rich person, but adding any of which would have been fairly difficult for us to do, as we lack resources and contacts and may have risked tokenism or offending audience members through accidental adherence to negative social stereotypes. Question 3. What kind of media institution might distribute your media product and why? Ideally, an independent film company such as BFI would distribute our media product, because although our film has been carefully considered and plotted, we do not believe that our film contains a particularly strong moral to the story that conglomerate corporations such as Disney would ideally seek out, because we do not believe that it was always necessary to convey this type of message in a film. Our storyline is a darker one than the storyline of some films that are endorsed by conglomerate corporations, and it is not aimed at families, but predominantly older teenagers and young adults, being the fast-paced action shooter that it is. Because our film is so alternative to high-budget films and so fairly similar to the independent films, we would prefer to release our film into the cinema chains at the same time as a high-budget film, to offer those not wanting to see the high-budget film a completely different alternative, attracting a completely different audience. We prefer to do this because releasing it at the same time as another independent film would most likely result in a potential loss at box office, as fans of independent films may be conflicted in which film to see and watch the other instead of ours, and as the average family can only afford to visit a cinema once or twice every 2 months, we would want to attract the biggest audience possible in order to achieve a box office. Also, because of our success with a lack of resources, we would associate with small-scale companies because of a lack of need for high-budget funding. Question 4. Who would be the audience for your media product? After careful consideration of the elements that our product contains, we decided to give the film a BBFC age rating of 15. We concluded this was appropriate because our film contains violence and weaponry and blood, as well as themes of criminal activities and a character known to detectives as a drug abuser. We decided to predominantly aim our product at young men because although it is suitable for older men and women, it contains conventions that are usually more popular with young men, such as violence, gun, police chases and young male protagonists, and has demonstrated little romantic or moral themes that would usually attract a female audience. We could have appealed to a vaster audience by including a female character or an older character of either gender to represent the wider part of society, but equally, we could have added a moral theme to our product to appeal to the other members of the public. But being restricted to a 2-minute clip meant that we did not have the time or space to consider adding this. If we had been able to, our product may have appealed to a wider audience. We believe that were our product released as a full film, it would attract a target audience well, because we have reflected on other films of this genre and fully believe that our product has been created well enough to entertain those in the audience. Question 5. How did you attract or address your audience? We decided to attract our audience by imitating techniques using other thriller films. Because nearly all of the products that inspired us open dramatic scenes with music, we decided to change this in our product to offer an alternative opening to the target audience. We opened on silence with our main protagonist reading through the files, beckoning the audience to question what is causing him distress. He then reveals a top-secret file labelled Status Unsolved in bright red ink. This immediately attracts the audience eye, and they can recognise that the file shares its name with the film. Soon after, the screen dips to black and reveals the second half of the product, the action-packed section, that immediately begins with excitement because of the backing music. We believe that the way we have opened our film is positively unique, as the climax is reached quickly, yet it unravels itself slowly by gradually showing the audience what the contents of the top-secret file are. To address our audience, we devised a storyline that was similar to what our target audience said they wanted in a film when we asked them. By doing this, we were able to devise a better plot for our product storyline, and we feel like we have benefited from drawing these opinions as we could change our product for the better. We also asked them what sort of age they felt the actors should be. Their responses to this question were mostly actors around the same age as them, as they felt they were able to relate to them more than someone older than them. By addressing our audience like this, we feel that we were able to create a product that our target audience would be attracted to and would enjoy if they were to watch it. Question 6. What have you learned about technologies from the process of constructing this product? From the process of constructing our product, I have learnt that Adobe Premiere Pro makes the putting together of a film incredibly easy. We were able to reorder the short clips that we had, as well as add music on top of the sound of our detective speaking. It was good that we can control each separate piece of audio so that each scene possessed an intended effect of peace, tension, anticipation, or exhilaration. It was simple to import and export pieces of the film and to cut pieces of the clip to the very second in order to create the best quality film that we possibly could. We found that putting together the film was simple, and it was surprising how many effects the program possesses because we were able to choose the right one for our film, which was dip to black. We chose this because we felt that it helped us to create the film's intended effects in the appropriate places. Making an ident on Adobe After Effects proved to be incredibly difficult, however. Because the application has so many different effects to add onto it, we were unsure how to create it. We found it difficult that we had to enter numbers for an effect's angle, shape and starting point and create a cue for timing. We did try imitating a free tutorial on YouTube, but this was difficult as there were specific numbers to enter and we wanted to change some aspects of the tutorials that we watched to further personalise our ident. In the end, we decided to experiment with the program and eventually managed to create an ident that we were all satisfied with. We decided that instead of paying for our music, we would try to create some to give the film more of an indie feel to it. At first we tried GarageBand to compose, but we were all inexperienced on how to use it, so anything we made sounded terrible. We then decided that we should play the music ourselves so we could easily control the aspects of it. I played the bass guitar and a friend accompanied with percussion drums. We believed that we made the best possible choice because it gave our product an indie atmosphere to it, which we believe makes our product stand out against all others. Question 7. Looking back at your preliminary task, what do you feel you have learnt in the progression from it to the full product? Looking back to our preliminary task, I feel that I have progressed in my understanding of the creation of thriller films because we used our interpretations of conventions from our inspirational thriller films to further our knowledge of production. In our preliminary task, we used the backing track to a popular song because we had no idea of what kind of music we should use, but after audience research and research of our inspirations, we decided to use music similar to what was in those films, but with a modern twist, to make the film stand out against all others. I also learnt how to dub music on top of voices, so our film still had its intended effect, as well as the tension created by music. Our preliminary task contained almost no conventions of a thriller film, making it virtually useless. We did, however, take a few camera angles from the film because we liked how they appeared when played. Our preliminary task had costumes in it that did not fit with the usual conventions of a typical thriller films, with the characters wearing usual civilian clothing. In our product, our actors wore costumes that fitted their characters' roles and personalities, with smart formal wear for the detectives and cheap sports clothing for the criminal. This better displays power and control over others than casual clothes like on our preliminary task. The location of our preliminary task was through school corridors and the gardens around our school. We felt that we could have found somewhere a lot better for our product, so we did, and the film fitted together and flowed a lot better because of this. We were able to perform more daring scenes with vantage points in the trees from the camera. The camera shots used in our product were ones more typical of a thriller film, such as panning, tracking, close-ups, over the shoulders and worm's eye view, rather than our preliminary task where we just used over the shoulders and tracking. In all, our product was a complete success compared to our preliminary task. This is all thanks to the research we did on conventions of thriller films and the research and note-taking of our inspirational films.